Welcome to the Horror Friendly Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Horror Friendly Podcast, part of the You Run Podcast Network. My name is Katie, and I am joined by Chantelly Telly Tell. Hi, Tell.
I don't know why that cracked me up so much.
Did I? I don't know. It felt natural saying it.
Did it?
It did.
I love that Tal is like the shortest nickname I could possibly have, and you just expanded it like tenfold.
Yeah. Basically.
Gotta be done. I love as well. I've got really itchy eye, sorry. I love as well though that you were like, oh, welcome to another episode, but failing to mention this is your birthday episode.
Well.
Another year out the sun.
Oh God, I know. Well, you wouldn't think the big 2-1. Just add on 10 years. But yeah. We're recording this on Monday the 18th. My birthday is the 21st. So by the time it's out, my birthday would be just a distant memory. But I'm sure I had a wonderful time.
I'm sure it was great.
I mean, I don't know. I'll know by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah, you have to edit this and be like, it was shit. Like, no one got me cake.
What the fuck did Chantel get me?
I couldn't blow out 31 candles. It was humiliating.
Yeah, fuck that. I'm not doing that.
You have to blow them out one at a time.
Yeah, that's fine. That might make it less painful.
Yeah. I mean, that might take most of the morning and then it won't feel so bad.
Rude. You're not far behind me, mate. You're not far behind me.
I'm literally a week behind, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, we've got this birthday episode and then the next episode will be your birthday episode. Yeah. So yeah, we've got a couple of weeks of birthdays going on.
We didn't plan this. Our parents did. They got together and they were like, right, we need to have 2 kids very close together.
Yeah. It's not our fault, is it?
They aimed for the same day, but one of us was late, apparently.
Exactly. Rude.
Fucking rude. We couldn't both be Scorpios.
No, just me.
Nightmare. Okay. But for your birthday, you have decided to do One Cut of the Dead. I was going to say, was this a Shudder special?
I think it's a Shudder exclusive, yeah.
Yeah, a Shudder exclusive. So this is a 2017 horror comedy. Things go badly for a hack director and film crew shooting a low-budget zombie film in an abandoned World War II Japanese facility when they were attacked by real zombies. So, Katie, there's a little bit more to it than that, but what were your first thoughts?
Well, I guess like my first thoughts when I was watching it was like the first 30 minutes, I was like, what is this? Because I'd heard so many good reviews about it. I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
But I just had such an amazing time with it when I first watched it that I just really, really wanted to watch it again, which is mainly why I wanted to pick it for my birthday. I also feel like it's not like a film that we've watched before or we've covered before. No. I feel like it's quite different. So I thought it would be quite a good choice to bring it in this season. But yeah, at first I was like, what the fuck? But my advice to everyone is just stick with it because it gets good.
But that's what you text me. And I was like, that's never a good sign. If someone has to text you, stick with it for a film. It's probably, I was like, there's probably one good scene. Whereas this was like, yeah, surpassed all expectations. Because as you say, that first half an hour, it's risky putting that first. But then if you flipped it, I don't think it would be as good.
No, definitely not. I think they did need that kind of slow thing, and then obviously they do need that because then everything else ties together and it all makes sense when everything else comes along.
And this is what I was thinking. I was like, if you saw the first 30 minutes at the end, so if they flipped it, it would be funnier because you'd be like, oh, that's why they were doing that. But I think you were still having those moments, but you were just thinking back 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's why they were doing that. But it's so bizarre because it's like, in that first 5 minutes, I was like, the acting is shit. Like, yay! I was like, this acting is terrible. What is happening? I also couldn't figure out why the camera didn't change. Like, as in, they were obviously filming the first scene and then they went up to do the makeup, but the camera quality didn't get better. And I was like, well, I was expecting that to get better and it didn't. So that I was stuck with. And then like when they were running up and down the stairs with one camera, and I was like, this is Like the fact they're ignoring that camera is like, one is like seasickness, but also not believable. So then when the script is flipped and you realize what's happened, I was like, that's actually genius.
Mm.
It's actually so much better than I thought it was. Like,
Yeah. I also forgot how funny it was as well. Like I was literally laughing out loud, and I don't do that a lot with films, but this just literally made me. I just I think when they fall for some reason it really makes you laugh because they can't make a noise because they have to be quiet. And also there was a part of me that like imagined you doing the SFX like running after them as well.
I'd be well up for that.
Yeah, I would too. It would get me really fit.
Yeah, but it's the fact that okay, so my partner got home late from work as I was watching the film, but he walked in as it came up with One Cut of the Dead. And he was like, "What's happening?" I was like, "Well, I'm half an hour in." I was like, "I need to finish it." I was like, "But the credit, the like, oh fuck, title card has only just come up half an hour in." He was like, "What?" I was like, "I'm sorry, it's not great, but you can watch the rest with me." And as you said, we were laughing out loud. And so I think he wants to now go back and watch the first 30 minutes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. He should.
Yeah. But it was that way, like you say, where it's like you could just imagine it like with the fake bloods, and then like over the credits where you were actually watching the real crew do it.
Yeah.
And there was a bit where one of them fell over, and I was like, does that mean that was an accident? And then the actors had to replicate it.
I mean, when the actors were doing it, it did look genuine.
Yeah, but I think it was I think the original was an accident, and
Oh,
they had to
definitely.
replicate it to get the same camera angle, which is fucking brilliant. This must have been so much fun to make.
Yeah, definitely. It would have 100% been one I would love to have worked on.
Can someone please hire me to run around with a brush and a bucket of blood? That's all I'm asking.
That's all you want.
It's all I want in my life.
You need to get on one of the Winnie the Poohs because that's not like too far from you.
This is the funny thing. Like, I live in a weird area where like not a lot happens, but so many films are filmed here because it's just like empty. So you'll just be driving or walking down the road, and all of a sudden, like a massive lorry will go past full of film equipment. And I cannot figure out who their makeup teams are. I'm like, please, I just want to talk to someone.
Use me.
Abuse me. Oh, but this is the thing. I'm like, I know I'd have to start the bomb. I'll do the coffee runs and I'll run with the bucket of blood. I'll be great. And I'll love every second of it. And like, I'll be that psycho. So this was just brilliant, though. This one.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so good. I mean, obviously, guys, there's going to be spoilers. We're going to be talking about it. But yeah. So what did you think after the 30 minutes then? Were you like, right, where is this going? Were you just confused?
I was so confused. And then they were like, oh, here's the script. So I was like, what? And then it was obviously they went to find the director and bring everyone together. I was really confused because I was like, okay, so we're going to see like the making of. And I just couldn't figure out why we'd care. Like, I know that sounds stupid, but I was just like, the point of a horror film is the horror. But if we're watching how the film is made, that's not going to be scary. But yeah, like as soon as they got to, like, it all just came together so beautifully and was so fucking well done. And I think what's funny, again, we've said this with a couple of films where there's like a language barrier.
Yeah.
But actually, when they were running around at the end having to refilm anything, you almost didn't need the subtitles because it was just chaos. And you could see what was going on. You could see them all trying to improvise.
That's true.
And again, we've said that with so many foreign films, when you could almost lose the subtitles and still keep the film, they're doing a fucking good job.
Like, oh yeah, 100%, because you're engaged enough that you don't even need to look at them. You can kind of just pretty much understand what's going on from it. Like that's when you're fully into it.
Yeah. And I was just like, I just thought it was great. But yeah, could not have told you where it was going.
No. Yeah. Because I'd only seen it once before and it was a while ago, so I forgot a lot of it. Like when the wife got really into the role, like way too into it. I completely forgot about that whole scene, and that just cracked me up. She was just kicking everyone, punching everyone.
They weren't little kicks either. They were like, she was dropping people. But it wasn't even that as well. It was when her daughter volunteered her, and then the husband was like, no, you can't do that to me. And like we were sat on the sofa like, fucking asshole, like stop putting your wife down. And then she got to that and you're like, I see his point. Like
I get it. I do get it.
And we were like, stand up for your man. Come on, she's trying to help. And then we were like, sometimes we're the problem.
A very change of tone, shift change from last week, where it's like
we're never the problem.
we're never the problem, but sometimes we are.
This week is like, okay, so when I start drop kicking the extras, maybe you're the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay, so that's fair. We'll take that one.
Yeah, like when both your husband and your daughter are being like chill. It was just great. It was such a great addition.
It was, yeah. It was a nice little, and I loved when you were introduced to her, and sorry, not in the first bit, obviously, because she's actually in the film at that point,
Yeah.
but when you see her after, and she's watching like a TV show about like self-defense, and then you think, okay, how's that all gonna tie in? Yeah.
Well, that's why, because again, like, obviously I clicked it was her in the film, but I was like, yeah, like what? Okay, so she got that from there. What's that got to do with anything?
Mm,
Because again, like when you're watching the film at the beginning and you're like, why is he asking about her hobbies?
yeah.
Because we don't know their improv at the time.
They're trying to stall for time because they don't know what's going on.
But again, like those actors, well, at the end, like the acting is fucking phenomenal. But I think that's what makes it even funnier how bad the acting was, is because they had to act bad
Yeah.
well.
And it just made me die. Like all the crew were just watching them, like, what the fuck is going on?
But I love how much foreshadowing there was as well. Like when they're doing the table read and the girl was like, oh, I want to push myself. I don't mind getting covered in vomit. Oh, but my team won't let me. And obviously she then gets covered in vomit.
Yeah.
Like just there was so much foreshadowing. Like the guy shitting himself because of the water. Like oh, it's bad. But the other bit as well, when they were filming that like first scene and they paused before she like goes with the axe, and then they redo that at the end.
Mm.
And I was like, I thought obviously originally that was, oh, that's a like, you know, reference to the beginning. But then when you see why they've actually done it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so good.
It just all ties together, and it's just so like
So
it's a bit of a head
beautifully.
fuck, but yeah, it's so like clever, I think.
It was fun as well. Like the guy was drunk and he was like banging his hand. I'm like, I lost my shit. And like my partner was like, did you not see that the first time around? I was like, no, you absolutely do not see any of that. Like
No.
he has to watch the first bit 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's so funny, isn't it? How you could just completely change your mind over the first like 30 minutes of a film, like because that is the most important bit that you like need to watch. Like, guys, if you're listening, you can't skip any of it. You do have to watch all of it. It's not a long film, but you have to sort of endure this bit to get to the good stuff.
And that's the thing. I don't think like it's weird because you are kind of almost being forgiving because everything about this film is promoted as this low budget Japanese film, like filmed in an abandoned place. So you're like, okay, I will give it a chance. It's not going to be the best, which I think is the only reason that you stick out that first half an hour.
Yeah.
And then once things start changing, you're a bit like, again, you're still confused, so you can't quite figure it out. So you stick it out more. So it's done so because again, like you could so easily switch off after the first half an hour.
Yeah. Oh, easy.
It just keeps you kind of wanting, like, okay, well, why are they doing that?
I think the marketing for it was really clever as well. Like the poster doesn't show you anything. It doesn't tell you that, you know, it's a behind the scenes kind of film. It's if you watch those first 30 minutes and saw the poster, it would make complete sense. It would just be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's the crazy director at the front. Yeah, get it.
Well, again, even the words, even One Cut of the Dead did not get until they physically explain, oh, it's it's one shot. And I was like, we literally did just watch that. And I realized it was one camera, but I didn't understand the title.
Yeah. Like, well, yeah. If you've not seen it and thought you wouldn't, there would be no reason for you to get that.
It's
but yeah,
so good. I love all the like placards having to come to like tell the actors to improvise and been like, you need to pick up the axe. I was just like, this is brilliant. Like,
and then all their heads just turn to the sign. Yeah. And that again, in the first bit, I was like, what are they looking at again? I can't remember. And so that was a nice surprise.
It's just like, you just assume it's like they've heard a noise or a zombie or something. They're all just, I'm like, this is shit acting. What are they doing?
It's so good.
It's so funny.
But I didn't know this, but apparently most of the cast actually paid money to be in this film.
No, that's not how it works.
Apparently initially, it was because this was a final product of an acting and directing workshop called ENBU seminar. So I guess they just wanted to be involved in film in some way. So obviously, but it made a shit ton of money. So I'm sure they got that back. But
sure they got paid. So hang on.
yeah,
So
and more.
they basically joined a workshop and they were like, so we're going to make a movie, and then we're going to make a movie about how you make a movie.
Yeah.
Because that, I love the fact they added the bit at the end, at like over the credits, because they literally take us like, this is filmception, because you can see the guy filming the movie, and then you could obviously, you've got the director with the fake camera, one with the real camera filming the thing, the guy filming the thing for the second half, and then you've got the guys filming it with the real equipment or the big equipment. But that was, I was, because as we were watching it and they were doing like the SFX with the same stuff they were about to do it with, I was like, why did they not just use the real teams? But I also don't know if it was, I don't know, like just funnier not to. Yeah, I really don't know, because I was like, they were doing it for real, so why not?
Yeah, I guess if you're a real SFX artist, maybe you just kind of want like
To do it properly.
to do it properly. So maybe it's funnier getting an actor in there because they really don't know anything about SFX.
Maybe.
So you can assume that they don't. So it kind of makes it more funny that they're just kind of like squirting, like, you know, when she's
So
and he's like squirting the blood, like that kind of makes it funnier because he looks so nervous doing it. So it's maybe just for like
Maybe.
comic effect.
also
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I also wondered because it was like, I don't know, but it was because from what it looked like, they actually filmed that first 30 minutes with the real crew, and then
Yes.
and then the actors had to basically copy what they were doing, I suppose.
Yeah.
So maybe that first 30 minutes was actually done in 30 minutes, but the second half would have taken way longer. So I wonder if that's why they did it with the real crew, and then they were like, now because it's fun, the actors will do it, but they're going to copy what we were doing, including falling over, and that's how they got to...
Yeah. Oh, bless her. She fell over like twice. Oh,
He was doing so well. This is great. It's so...
Yeah. The other bit that really cracked me up was the drunken guy, because obviously they just put some makeup on him and just like, so like, obviously for those that haven't seen it, yeah, so they put makeup on him, but he's already drunk. So they just think, okay, zombie, we'll go with that.
But it was just like, yeah, just make him look drunk. Like
yeah,
I think they put contacts in him, which again, I've got a problem with my eyes, which I've confessed on this podcast before, but I can't imagine someone else putting my contacts in for me.
But he was so out of it.
He was so out of it, he didn't care. But I was like, I have to do my own contacts. Fuck anyone else coming in my eyes, especially while drunk. I'd have been like, yeah, away from me. But it was just so fun. And then the diarrhea guy having to have his makeup done while shitting himself. And now he's purely known as the diarrhea guy.
Oh dear, it was so funny. I think as well, like the lack of dialogue made it funnier for some reason, because it was just all like kind of rushed and there wasn't really much being said, and for some reason that made it funnier.
I love the bit as well where it's like they were trying to improv while they put the axe through the wife's head, and it was just just keep it. So she just screamed for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then again at the beginning you're like, and you know, it's the big bosses that are watching it at the time, and they're like, this is going on for a while, like what? And so they were saying what we were all thinking in the first 30 minutes, like what the fuck's going on? So it's very meta sort of satire, just very, very funny. And
brilliant. It is really good. It was, I really didn't know what you'd recommended when we first started. I was like, what is she suggesting for her birthday?
What is she doing?
And then you text right, because like I said, we paused it to make dinner. And then I was like, we paused it at like after the first half an hour. So I basically watched it as 2 separate things. And you text me, stick with it. And I was like, well, I'll trust you, but like, how is this going to change? So
yeah, stick with it.
I was so pleasantly
trust
surprised.
Me. Yeah.
That should be their tagline. Stick with it. Keep going.
Stick with it. Yeah.
Does it have a tagline actually?
I don't know. It was actually going to be called something else. It was going to be called Don't Stop Shooting. which I won't try to say in Japanese because I don't
Okay.
want to, at risk of offending anyone and butchering the language. But yeah, in Japanese, Don't Stop Shooting. But I think One Cut of the Dead is a lot more appropriate and it's just a cooler title.
Yeah, and I think as well it doesn't give anything away. Whereas if it was like Don't Stop Shooting, I don't know. I don't know if we'd have known any more.
Hmm. No.
Yeah. I don't think
Another
so.
scene where the director kind of shouts at the actress
Hmm.
for being like not scared enough apparently is a reference to the filming of The Shining, where Stanley Kubrick obviously shouts at Shelley Duvall, bullies her to get a better performance. So apparently that's a slight reference to that.
And then obviously we then see it where the actress actually asks for it.
Yeah.
It's like, don't be too nice to me, like really go for it.
Mm.
Because that's the thing, like when you see her the other side, you're like, fuck me, she's a really good actress. But again, in that first half an hour, we're like, what is she doing?
Yeah. Or even after that, when you actually meet her as an actor, she's like a
Yeah.
former she's a pop star
Yeah.
kind of turned actor, and she does kind of like her signature thing, and you sort of think, oh, do people kind of take her seriously? But then she ends up being really good,
Yeah.
and like kind of carries the film, and she's absolutely knackered at the end of it, which is
I
fair
love that
enough.
as well. Because again, you think this was technically only half an hour and all of them at the end are collapsing. And I'm like, you think anything in life like you do for half an hour, you can push through. Whereas
Yeah.
this, it was like, oh my God, I need a drink. Oh my God, like he was like throwing up drunk. And then by the end of the half an hour, fine. I was like, that half an hour changed their fucking lives. Like,
Well, yeah, he was well enough to be at the bottom of the fucking triangle.
so funny. Like
Oh.
how, and again, kudos to her for being such a good actress because how did she look at a triangle of zombies, a pyramid of zombies, and not crack?
I know.
Like that was so good.
So good. Like, yeah, how, yeah, the fact that she was just looking up for like what, 15 seconds.
More than that, yeah, because they counted down 15, so she'd already been looking up for like 20, maybe not that long. But it was so all the
And,
credits, and I was like, oh my God.
and it was the fact that the first three at the bottom were all zombies and they're all in zombie makeup.
It was the eyes, and it was like that was the problem because we were looking at it, and I was like, how is she not dying of laughter? Because that's just funny as it is. And then I was like, but you've got drunkie and diarrhea on the bottom.
Yeah.
That's just going to go wrong at both ends. Like, what is
Yeah.
happening?
And the other guy that got like loads of sick on him, and
Yeah.
he just had to quickly change and just suddenly have his arm ripped off. And he was like, there's no wipes to wipe my face.
Like, what was that liquid? What was that liquid? Like, I read it too quick and I thought it said, was that lunch? And I was like, either way, still disgusting. Like, but yeah, oh God, that was such a funny reaction.
Oh, it was so funny. And then he just suddenly had to go back in again, like, and just do his job. Oh God. But yeah,
Oh, it's so funny.
it's so funny.
It's so well done. I generally, this was a delight.
Oh,
I'm so
good.
glad we covered this. This was so much fun.
Apparently, it's included among Letterboxd's top 250 horror films,
Holy
which I
shit.
think, yeah, I think it deserves to be in there. I think it is one of those little hidden gems that I think everyone should watch, and hopefully everyone that's listening to this has already watched it, because I would hate to spoil anything for you guys. But
I think,
yeah,
because this is the thing, I'd be like, would you count this as a horror? But then I was like, well, the first half is not scary, but it's, you know, it
is horror.
Horror-esque. So I would still count this as a horror, especially horror comedy. But I think that is the thing, is when you actually look at it. Because I did, like, when I was looking it up afterwards, and there was like, oh, are there any actual zombies in One Cut of the Dead? So I was like, it's funny that people are trying to figure out before watching it, I guess. Like, what's going on.
Yeah, definitely.
It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Fuck yeah.
I'm trying to see like some of the lower scores because I just want to see why people are broken inside.
I did also really kind of like the father-daughter sort of relationship and the reference to her getting on his shoulders and stuff like that. I thought the funny, which was sort of it was like a dark comedy moment, was when obviously the drunken guy was speaking to him and was saying, oh, I haven't seen my daughter in so long because I have a drinking problem. And then he starts crying, and then the other guy's like, don't cry, and then it's just a quick shot to him drinking and crying, the director. And I know it is, I think it was meant to be kind of like a funny quick shot, so just him doing exactly what he just told
don't
the
do
other
that.
guy.
The funny thing was when we first saw that, because they'd obviously just before that as well been talking about like the teardrops in the eyes, I thought he was crying into a jar to make the teardrops. And then he started drinking them, and I was like, okay, I've missed something. Like my brain went somewhere else completely.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you were too busy in the film, Tao. I was thinking about the emotional things of this film.
Yeah.
But you were all about the film.
Like, let's make the effects. Let's get some tears. So one of the 1-star reviews is, I really don't understand the positive reviews. Movie split up into 3 parts. First part, how to make a terrible movie. Second part, how to make terrible movie. Third part, falling asleep wishing I chose a different movie. They couldn't type. It says, is Chupa's a different movie? So basically they fell asleep at the best bit. So
Oh, well, that's a shame, because then you missed a really great movie.
yeah. Another one is just a high level of self-indulgence, a lot of slapping around and screeching, and you get a film like this.
Yeah, I don't think, maybe they didn't get it.
One other said, not in the slightest bit funny. I fail to understand all the hype. I just found this incredibly boring. It started off looking very, very cheap, but that was the point. And then what follows is an hour of sheer boredom. Why are these people hurt? Who hurt them? Like, this is funny.
I find it very interesting, like when something is called a horror or like a comedy horror, people instantly go to like your stereotypical horror. Yeah. But like horror is so subjective, and it's so it can be portrayed in so many different ways. And me and you, and as a 3, we've covered so many different types of horror films. And horror is one of those things that you have to be open to, like watching horror comedy and watching, you know, different kinds of films, because there's so many different types of horror out there. Yeah.
But I also think
I don't get the thing of it being boring. I felt pretty engaged the whole time.
But... Again, we have said the first half an hour is a bit weird and a bit boring, because you're like, what the fuck's going on? But then once it all comes together, it's fucking genius. But I just don't think there's another film like this. Like, you've had some films where it's like handheld, you've had films where it's like all behind the scenes. We've had like mock films, but there's never been one like this.
No, you're right.
And I just think that's what makes it brilliant, again, because like, I think that's the great thing about horror. Again, we've spoken about different like subgenres of horror where there's rules, and then if people come away from those rules, other people get really upset. And I think that's, sometimes it works like this, sometimes it doesn't work, like In a Violent Nature, which we've also covered recently, where again, I think, you know, and some people love that film, some people hate it, but I think you can appreciate that you know, films try something else and try something new, because otherwise we're just going to watch the same shit forever. Like, we might as well explore.
Definitely.
So, there was also only 3 bad reviews out of all of them, so yeah, just saying, I just wanted to
take that
for my own entertainment.
Yeah. Well, no, it's interesting to see like what people kind of say negatively about it, but yeah, you're right. Like, horror has to be fresh. I think we've, like, you know, said that the whole time, you know, talking about Art the Clown and Johnny from In a Violent Nature. You know, we need to get these new horror villains coming in, so horror needs to be kept fresh, otherwise it's just gonna be a dying genre. Otherwise it's just, like you say, the same old shit is going to be churned out.
But I do get it, because I think people do get very attached to like the horror rules.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, but what happens if you break the rules? Like, what happens if you twist it? And I think that's what's funny with this one as well, because it's like, oh, well, it's a zombie film. I was like, but actually it wasn't. There was no zombies, so actually there were no rules, because even the actors at one point were talking about that. They were like, oh, but a zombie shouldn't be able to use an axe because of like, I was gonna say motor skills, but that's not the right word. Like, thinking and will and that sort of thing. So again, I was like, it's so interesting that they're having that conversation within the movie.
Because at first, when I first watched the movie, I thought, oh, is this going to be like a how did they all get infected? Like, is it going to be more of like, oh, this was a month ago, what happened? Did the water infect them? Like, I was thinking maybe it was that kind of thing, where like because I've seen films like that before where they've like they've been filming something and then something happens and then they all get possessed, or like, I don't know, there's a mass killer on the loose or whatever. So I thought maybe it was going to go down that route where it was like, oh, how did they get infected? How has this zombie apocalypse happened? But it completely didn't do that, which I love.
And I think it was better for it, because that's what we were laughing at. We were like, everything went so terribly wrong, but it made it perfect. Because like that guy being drunk, throwing up everywhere, made him look more like a zombie than if he'd just been like, that guy freaking out because of the sick all over him, but then made him react really well to losing his arm. Like, yes, there were bits like her screaming for so long because with the camera on her was a bit like, okay, that was probably too long, but it just made it so perfect when things went wrong. That was the beauty behind it. So yeah, I don't know what I thought when it was like 1 month before. I didn't know if it was going to be like, yeah, I don't know. I think I was expecting it to be that actually they were real zombies and that she actually did kill them. Or actually, I thought it was going to be that they weren't real zombies. She thought they were, and then she was going to get done for murder because she straight up killed half the crew and actors. And then it was going to get proven none of them were actually zombies, but she was the only cast member not told.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a very dark route.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Like, there's so many ways it could have gone. Where it's like, oh, you know, oh, it's the aftermath of like the final girls or the final people. Like, what happened to them? Like, you know, did the girl survive? Where is she now?
Yeah.
I thought maybe it would go into that, but obviously, nothing to do with that. But there were so many different avenues it could have gone down.
I did love as well that obviously we knew the wife and the dad were going to be in it because we'd already seen the movie. But I did like when it kind of came to that and they were like, oh, we need people to step in. And then he was like, well, I'll have to, because who else fits that description? And then he was anti his wife doing it. But I like that the daughter didn't, because I think it would have been too easy to just conveniently find her a role.
Yeah.
And actually that she wanted to do the behind the scenes stuff anyway. So I think that fitted. But I think it would have just been too easy to put the whole family in there.
Yeah.
And instead she found something more fitting, which I thought was just really cool. I love as well that she was just suddenly there. And then 1 second later, she was wearing the t-shirt like, I've got this. And I was like, wow, she has really changed her tune. Like, she is in this now.
Yeah, she got so involved in it. And she was just like, do we have permission? Do we have permission? And that guy was like, oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, man,
like, old man. Yeah, like, tell me. It was very funny.
That was the only thing, actually, like with her, when she was trying to get the little girl to cry at her own movie, and then she called the mother the old hag. I was like, you two look the same age. Like, how are you called? Like, when she called the guy older, I was like, he's not an old man, but like, he's older than you. But I was like, that woman was not that much older than you.
No.
I was like, what the fuck? Unless she's actually meant to be like a teenager. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It was so funny. I was like, fine. Just be mean to anyone above 20, apparently.
Yes. But yeah, so good.
So if you were to be, we've already said I'd be the SFX person with the bucket. What role would you want if you were making this film?
I don't know. I think I'd be a pretty good crew member.
Yeah, like just dragging the drunk guy around.
Yeah, I think I'd be all right at that. I could do that, I reckon. And I don't know if I could do the director's role. That looks pretty intense. I don't know. I think I'd make quite a good final girl. So I'm gonna promote myself very high.
You're gonna end it standing in that pentagram.
Yes, I am.
Right, I'll do your blood.
Yeah, you can pour blood all over me, and I'll end in the pentagram. There we go.
Perfect. Love it.
Because we can't do Would You Survive, because it's not really that kind of film, is it?
Well, that was my next question, was like, well, as you're the final girl, I'm guessing you're surviving this non-film then.
Absolutely, yeah. And as the SFX queen, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the pyramid holding someone's foot to like keep them balanced.
Yes, you'll be fine.
It's so good. Oh, but we can do your favorite spooky moment and your spooky rating out of 5.
I think it is just when that girl falls over. For some reason, it just fucking cracks me up, because I forgot it happens the second time as well. I think it's just the way it's done really fucking made me laugh. It's all kind of like done in silence, which just makes it funnier. And then the guy that's holding her hand just leaves her as well. Just abandons her. So I think that's quite funny.
Wait,
So that's-
do you mean the bit where they like fall and then they have to swap the camera person, or do you mean the bit where they fall in the bush and the zombie nearly attacks them? It's just always
when
falling over.
oh no, it's when the crew member falls, like she slips on the floor. They're like turning like around the corner and
Yeah.
then she slips and the guy's like trying to hold her hand and then just lets go and runs off. And I think the director helps her up.
I
And
love
then
the
she
fact-
does it again in the bush.
I love the fact we're like, which fall? Because there's like actually quite a few.
Yeah. But I think that and kind of just the crew in general, like I thought they were so fucking funny just with the way that they handled stuff, and it was really funny just watching them the whole time.
Yeah,
So I'll say them is my favorite spooky moment.
yeah, they were pretty good.
Yeah. And so I've been thinking about this as we've been recording, and I want to give it a 4.5, but this whole time, but I think I'm going to give it a 5.
Fuck yeah, you go
Yeah,
for it.
I don't know what else I would want from it. So I think it has to be a 5.
Fair enough.
Yeah. What about you?
I think my favorite spooky moment, I was going to say the pyramid because we've mentioned it a lot and I did love it. However, I think I am going to go with the bit where our final girl is supposed to be killing the director and there's that person with the blood bucket just blowing it into her face, because I thought that was just fucking hysterical. One as well, because as we said, it shows how good that girl is as an actress, because she does not break. But I just love that it shows that side of SFX where it's like blood splatter. It felt very Friday 13th again, where like the tube broke and they had to blow it through. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah, I really liked kind of again getting that perspective of being able to see it. So that was cool. And I was gonna go 4, and now I'm feeling like, should I go 4.5? Again, I don't know what I'd really add to it, but I think, I don't know, maybe like if they'd made the beginning bit just a bit shorter, like a 20 minutes, would people have been like less inclined to switch off? But then I just think there was so much in there that when we see it, they needed so much for the ending.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's genius when it all comes together. It's pretty fucking genius.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go 4.5. But this was so enjoyable. I really, really liked it. But yeah, so amazing. That was I'm gonna get it wrong again. One Shot of the Dead episode.
Cut.
Sorry?
One Cut of the Dead.
Shit. That was our One Cut of the Dead episode, not one shot. For Katie's birthday. So join us again in next week to see what we're doing for my birthday. If you've listened to the podcast for a very long time, you can probably guess.
Yeah.
We will see you then. Follow us on all the socials, subscribe to us, and then you can join in with all the chaos as we go. Now rambling, so I'm going to say bye.
Bye-bye.
Go.
Don't die.
Getting better.
We're kind of getting there.
Kind of.
We're kind of getting there.